What's the worst job you've ever had? The worst job I ever had is the job I am currently working in construction. I love my work, but can't stand the person I work with, which makes my job unbearable and I hate it. Teaching at a school for students with behavioral issues. The worst and most rewarding job. Did I make positive changes in kids' lives? Yes. Did kids try and stab me, hit me, destroy my classroom? Also yes. Grocery store. I had never been treated so badly in my life by customers, superiors and coworkers. Starbucks. People getting coffee are insanely shitty. The manager always gave me 40 hours, but also had me close the first half the week off at 11 p.m., one day off, and open the next at 5 a.m. then do morning for the other half. I got written up for looking angry at work. I once got a job at a call center, where I had to call people with service offers. It seemed easy at first, but after just a couple of hours, I realized it was a nightmare. People were constantly yelling at me, swearing, and some even threatened me. Every call felt like a trial. The more I called, the more anxious I became. On top of that, the management kept pressuring us with targets, and we'd be fined for the smallest mistake. By the end of the day, I was so exhausted that I could barely get up from my chair. That was the last straw, and I immediately quit. I promised myself I would never work in a place like that again. I worked as a customer service representative for the DMV. I took about 100 to 125 calls a day, 15.50 an hour, and this was 4 years ago. I wanted to work for the state, and that was the easiest job to get. I've moved on. Chucky. She's rat. The costume head smelled like vomit, and kids liked to punch me in the rat balls left after 45 minutes. I worked at a daycare once for 6 months and was sick the entire time. Grease trap inspector for a water department. Being an Amazon driver was awful, to the point where years later I don't buy things from Amazon, just because making them work harder makes me feel bad. Waxing tech for salon. Cold calling from a phone room to sell cemetery plots. It's hard to spin that positive. I worked for 3 hours on a river cruise boat restaurant murder mystery dinner kind of place. It was one of my first jobs. I showed up eager to work. I would do anything legal for any pay at that point in life except clean poop. The dude I was training with kept telling me new guys had to clean the septic tank. I kept laughing it off thinking it was a joke. Right before lunch he showed me an area that clearly smelled like a septic tank. He told me after lunch meet him there and he will show me what to do. I never returned from lunch. Still on lunch till this day. I don't know if it was a joke or not. I've never even really seen a septic tank. They called me a few times. I didn't answer. Later on I got a check in the mail for $23. Seafood department of a grocery store. McDonald's. Fucking hated it. I've worked at 3 different Domino's and only one was truly awful. And the job I loved hated the most was sprinkler installation irrigation. Boss was a man-child, screamed and threw temper tantrums all the time. And the ground had more rock than it did dirt. Dig that shit up. I worked at one those loan places that holds your car title. So if you couldn't pay your loan the boss would keep your car. He collected lots of cars and motorcycles. The interest was $300. When people walked in asking for a loan I tried talking them out of it, even though I got commission. On my last day I hid a file belonging to an elderly couple so they wouldn't lose their car. Dish room of the college dining hall. Hot, sweaty, loud, dirty, smelly. I had a job for 2 weeks working with kids and Legos. Some kids were great. The rest were monsters who threw Lego at us on purpose. My mom made me quit after another injury, and murmured something about parents not being able to parent these days. The worst job I ever had was working for the worst boss I ever had. It didn't matter what the work was. What did matter was that he was just a condescending micromanaging asshole. Human poo shoveler at a treatment facility.